Terms relating to gang stalking, which I found very interesting, is a term called synthetic psychosis. And what synthetic psychosis is when the targeted individual has basically a synthetic form of psychosis created through agitation, conditioning, or drugging. And this is actually very interesting because, as I said, I have worked in mental health. Now, I do want to get this out of the way. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health professional. I cannot tell you to do or not to do anything that would be pertaining to health or wellness of the mental health variety or the physical health variety. I am not qualified to tell you what to do. So this video is not advice, this video is simply me talking, and you're welcome to watch it. So, what I want to talk about is, can psychosis be induced? Well, we know, yes, that it can be, and many medical conditions do mimic psychosis, things such as dehydration, diabetes, autoimmune disorders like multiple sclerosis, and the use of drugs. When I worked in mental health, I had a young lady on my caseload that was a chronic marijuana abuser. And what was funny is she was on all these antipsychotic drugs and all this other stuff, but she was a chronic smoker of marijuana from a very early age. And I asked her, she said that she hears voices. And I go, well, have you ever tried not smoking marijuana? And she said, yes. And then I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, the voices stopped. Well, of course they stopped because they were a product of the marijuana abuse. But psychosis can be induced also through traumatic experiences, through the constant agitation of the individual, which causes, of course, hypervigilance, which can cause lack of sleep, overthinking, things of that nature, which can cause psychotic-like symptoms. The thing is, also malnutrition is a big causative factor. People should look up, or I'm not saying what you should do, but people could look up Dr. Abraham Hoffer and orthomolecular psychiatry to see the role nutrition plays in dealing with psychosis. Now, what I want to explain is, I've never actually had a diagnosis. Well, I've never been psychotic. However, what I want to point out is for people that have lived in institutions like I have, what happens also is doctors and therapists will use these labels, these diagnoses, as a means of punishment. If you don't like something, or my outpatient psychiatrist explained it to me, and that's when my outpatient psychiatrist did take me off my medicines. What it was I was diagnosed with xenophobia, and I think it was schizoaffective disorder, I believe is what it was. And he started questioning these people in the hospitals. The xenophobia diagnosis, he believed, because I was, basically the gentleman was black, and he didn't like me because I was white, and I had gotten into a lot of incidents with the black patients as well as the black staff, because they would attack me for being white, both verbally and physically, and then I would do something about it, which resulted in, of course, action being taken against me. So when my outpatient doctor saw this, he explained to me this. He said, psychiatrists are not necessarily sane or intelligent. And what he explained to me is sometimes the way I speak might be taken as something that is, because it's above the level that somebody can understand, it may be taken out of context, or it might be taken out of context on purpose, as he explained, because some psychiatrists act with malice on their clients or on their patients, and that's very prevalent in the inpatient facilities. Now, what is the reason that, how does gang stalking fit into induced psychosis? Well, gang stalking is meant to induce psychosis. One of the things that happened to me was the people that were doing it, and I now figured that out, they never give you enough information that you can figure out who's doing it. Or at least they think they don't, but they do. For example, my alleged friend that works at my former place of employment, wanted me to know that he didn't do anything. He didn't say that nothing happened. He isn't calling me crazy anymore, because he knows I know what's going on. But what he said was, just remember that I didn't do anything. And this comes down to guilt by omission. One of the ways this works is, for example, this person knew full well what was going on the whole time, but would never let me know enough to actually figure it out. He would tell me I was crazy or things of this nature, and he would try and act like I was overreacting. But now that he knows that I figured out what's going on, it's no longer you're crazy, it's no, I didn't do anything. Well, of course, there's guilt by omission. When somebody knows full well that there's a person doing things that are illegal, wrong, and bad for the community, and that they work in a mental health facility, and they allow that person to continue that and build that person's ego up, that's guilt by omission. That's guilt by not doing your job as a person, as a member of society, and not actually taking action to do something about this person that's a harm to the individuals they work with, and a harm to the public, and a harm to the whole field of mental health. Not that mental health is a miraculous field anyway. It's a ridiculous field. It's collapsing because it's nonsense. So, in one of the comment sections of one of the channels I now follow, because one of the people suggested I watch their videos. Now, the person that made this video, and I'm not going to leave a link to it because I don't want to upset the person, but he is obviously suffering from some form of delusional thinking or psychosis. But an individual in the comment section said he should see a psychiatrist. Now, again, I want to remind everybody, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a mental health professional. But the problem is, psychiatry is not an answer to psychosis. The problem is that psychiatry is the answer that is given for psychosis. And as I've stated in previous videos, I do not think that psychiatrists, most of them, I don't think most of them act with malice toward their patients. I think they really do want to help them. But psychiatry is a fake form of medicine. It is very fake. There are other branches of medicine that probably could help with psychosis, things like immunology, things like, even oncology, because a lot of times there's brain tumors and things of that nature that go undiagnosed, cardiology, with the heart palpitations, things of this nature. Nutritional experts could be brought in to help with these things. There are a lot of personal trainer. For example, I'm going to leave links about exercise and how it helps with mental health. There are a lot of things that can be done that actually help with the physiology of the problem. Because let's remember, the mind is a result of the brain. It is a physiological issue. And don't forget that. When you have a malfunctioning mind, it's not because something happened in the ether. It's because something happened in the internal electrical and chemical mechanism, the machine of your body. Okay? Something went wrong in the machine that is your body, and that is why something is not operating properly. So you have to fix that problem with that machine. Now, these things can be induced by a bad environment, meaning that if the external environment is nothing but agitating to the internal machinery of the machine, then yes, malfunctioning things will happen. And that's what people need to keep in mind, is you need to take care of yourself. Self-care is very important to avoiding this type of psychosis that these people try to bring on you. I personally practice a rigorous exercise routine and a very Spartan diet. Now, I fail sometimes because there's only so much you can do when your mood drops and when you're constantly being harassed, as I was on here, as anybody that followed the commenters. This took place over a course of many years now. It's been over a year now with these people. and with other people that probably were the same people for well over 3 years since I've been on YouTube. So the thing is, what you need to keep in mind is there needs to be great care taken to build up the physiological machinery as robustly as possible in order to withstand the stresses that are put on you by these people, by the gang stalkers, or even just by the environment. And that's all I have to say in this in this video right now.